what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. We are on episode 83, and I wish that everybody could see the sky next to us right now because it's beautiful as we're recording.
It's perfect.
It puts you in a good mood to start the day.
Yeah.
Actually, anything productive does, I think, but especially when you're in some scenery that's so beautiful.
Agreed.
I have like this thing that if I wake up earlier, we've talked about it before, if I wake up earlier to do stuff, I always feel like I'm in a little bit of a better mood.
I agree.
Just in general with everything.
Yeah. So actually, that's funny. So by accident, because this since the baby's been born, I've been doing the middle of the night feeding, and the wife's been doing the early morning. Which I don't know why we did that. Looking back, because it doesn't make sense. Because I'm an early morning guy, and she is like a bear. So if she could sleep, the longer she sleeps, the better.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday, she stayed up later, so I went to bed because I had to go to work, and early in the morning. And so, anyway, she didn't wake me up because she had the baby monitor when the baby woke up the first time. So she just fed her before she came to bed, and then I got up right before I went to work and fed her before I went to work. And I called her yesterday on her way home from work, and I was like, "We need to switch that forever," because it was perfect. Because I felt like, wait a minute. All is right in the world because I'm back up again at 3:00 in the morning. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And it is. It's something weird about that, getting up earlier than you normally do. But not normally for me, but it was for the last 4 months. I don't get up that early anymore because I don't sleep very much, so I sleep right until it's time to get ready to go to work. But yeah, I think that's something that we have switched back to normal, which means I'll be able to work out early in the morning again.
It's definitely psychological just because you understand that you're doing something while most people aren't. Yes. So it's a feeling of being a little bit more productive than someone else. I know that when school was in session, I would get up and go to the gym before school.
Yeah.
And that was my lifting time. And sometimes I would even be able to train someone before school also. So I would have a workout, train someone, and then start my day.
Yeah.
And it was just a little bit different of a mindset going into the school. And some other teachers were dragging and tired and saying they, just rolled out of bed and had to shower real quick and come here and they're still tired. Whereas I've been up for, about 4 or 5 hours at that point too. So it was just something psychological that went into it and kind of set my day off on a good foot, so to speak.
Yeah. Some people get so mad too. Whenever I would come into the driver's room at work after a workout and I'm drinking my, my second meal of the day, and they're all scratching the sleep out of their eyes and just cranky and fighting to get in line for the coffee machine for their first cup of coffee. And I'm like, "Hi guys, how's it going?" They're like, "I hate you. Why are you so happy?" I'm like, "Oh, because I've been up for 4 hours. I don't know."
One thing that I've tried to do lately too, and it kind of can pertain to mornings as well, is look at things as opportunity. Yesterday, for example, I got to the gym. Gym opens at 5, got there shortly thereafter, and did not leave the gym till 10 p.m.
Wow.
So, and that's not uncommon.
Right.
Several days a week I'm doing that. And it would be very easy for me to get caught up in that and say, gosh, I have to go to work for all these hours. I have to barely have any sleep. I'm stuck at the gym all day. And then it's all semantics with words. You can switch it around and say, I get to spend my entire day in a gym helping people.
Yeah.
I get to work with a group of people that I really enjoy working with. I get to do this. So every little thing I try, and that's not always flawless. It's not foolproof that I get to do that. I have this mentality. It's always positive, but even waking up early, that's falls in line with it. I say, I get to get up early. I have the ability to go wake up before the sun rises, get in a nice car, drive, record on a computer that I own. There's just so many things that we take for granted. So I try to look at things as opportunity. Again, I know it's not that simple.
Right.
If positive thinking was that simple, everybody would do it and it would be sustainable.
I think it is that simple. It's just a matter of putting yourself in a mindset to do it, though.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but
simple, not easy, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So it's that's the word. It's not easy. Every week somebody asks me, what are you doing on Saturday? Well, I'm getting up at 4 o'clock. I got to record at 4:45. And then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to cut the grass at the house, and I'm going to cut the grass at the fire station, then I'm going to go grocery shopping. And they're like, dude, you get up that early all week long. Why are you getting up on your day off that early? I'm like, it's because because I'm not punching a time clock. It's not a day off.
Yeah.
It's life.
Well, I kind of get the same thing with teaching too, because a lot of people, and justifiably so, aren't doing much during the summer. I mean, obviously there are several teachers, and a large chunk of them do have other jobs or other things or, responsibilities, because I'm not making it sound like I'm the only one with responsibilities here just because I have another job that's full time. But there are some that, aren't doing anything. And when they say, well, don't you have time off on the summer? Isn't it relaxing in the summer? It's like, no, it's not anymore relaxing than the school year. It's the exact same. In fact, sometimes probably it's busier. Even more chaotic and busier, because the weekends, I mean, I think Sundays are my opportunity to sleep in, and my sleep in is generally about 5:45, 5:30 on Sundays. And that's the day that I sleep in. And you can relate. But at the same time, I don't ever put myself, or I'm learning to not put myself in positions I don't want to be in.
Right.
So if I didn't want to wake up that early, I wouldn't do it. And when we talk about training, I had someone the other day ask me if I was going to start turning people away because the training schedule being so chaotic and hectic. And I said, well, the only way I would ever turn somebody away from training would be two reasons. Number one, if I physically couldn't do it, like if there's no way I could possibly fit you in because the hours in the day just physically aren't there, that would be one. Or the second would be if quality went down. So if ever there was like a quality concern where I couldn't give you enough attention, or I was too tired to do it, or whatever.
Right.
So
I think that's honorable too. Like to be able to look at your schedule and say, hey man, I could probably fit you in, but you're not gonna get this guy's kind of quality if I fit you in this little time slot. I think that being able to tell somebody that is the honesty in that is like, it's honorable. Like I would enjoy that answer. Getting told no for that answer would be A-okay with me, because I'd be like, I'll wait until you're ready, till you're available the way you want to be.
But I think that part of it too, you could also look at it selfishly and say that it could, because I've been adamant with people about me being a results-driven business.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody comes to me because they want performance or physique or health results. They want their body or their performance to change. So if I don't get those results, then business dies. Because the reason that I feel like my training business has taken off isn't for any other reason other than people are getting the results that they expect and more.
Right.
So like if you improve, then you're going to recommend people to come. And I just think that has happened so many times that now it's like kind of a self-sustaining animal or a machine that just keeps growing and growing. Whereas if I didn't give somebody proper attention or whatever, they're not going to get proper results. And then in turn, because of that, business is going to die off.
Right.
So I could even look at it selfishly and saying, hey, I'm preparing for the long term, not the short term. I could fit you in and take your money pretty easily, but if the quality's not there, then I'm going to lose you long term and you're not going to be happy with the results. And that's that. But regardless, that's not happened. But those would be the instances where I would turn people away. But, the overreaching theme here is that I've just been trying to look at things as opportunity, because I preach it and sometimes it's hard to live it. I'm not going to say that when the alarm goes off at 3:30 or 3:45 or 4 o'clock or 4:30, whatever my alarm set's for that day, it's not always a foolproof experience to just wake up and say, okay, I'm up. This is awesome. I'm glad I get to get up this morning.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just the way to frame your mentality as such is just repeated exposure. Right. You just need to continue high frequency, high volume. Just continue to tell yourself that you get to do things. You get to do things. You get to do things.
Yeah, it's like the almost like the result from 2-a-days in football. That's in the high school football player's life. The week of 2-a-days is the hardest time ever, and everybody's miserable. But if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be as excited for that first game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first blow of the whistle, that first opening kickoff, it wouldn't be as exciting. You know, you don't get to play Friday night without 2-a-days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
so
there's
like,
gratification.
It's the work. It's the hard stuff.
Like, there's gratification in feeling productive.
Yeah.
So, like, again, why do you get up so early? When we talked about it, well, you feel productive, and then when you feel productive, you feel like it's almost like it boils down to self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I go home at the end of the day, like, especially when I spend 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. training, when I get home at the end of the day, there's this part of me that no matter how exhausted I am, it's almost like I don't want to use the word refresh because it's probably a misnomer, but like I feel ready to recharge.
Yeah.
Because mentally I'm in a good spot. It's like,
mm-hmm.
okay, I could have not done anything more today in my schedule to benefit other people and then ultimately benefit myself, like my training business or whatever. Like that was all I could have done today. There's nothing more I could have done. I physically could not have trained more people or given more energy to people. Here's where I'm at. I go to bed in a good mindset.
So basically you go home and before you lay down, you run yourself through like a miniature AAR, like of the day, that after action report for the actions of the day and say, it was good.
Yeah. And I think that you kind of do that. I'd like to think that most successful people do that.
Yeah.
Constantly, though.
All day long. It's an ongoing thing where, and I've heard that from, you know, I think Cameron Haynes has talked about it. David Goggins has talked about it. Jocko Willink, all the people that I listen to pretty religiously. And they talk about that never getting stagnant. Mm-hmm. Always think about what's the next step. But don't get so focused on the next step that you don't execute this step perfectly.
When I was student teaching in college, I had to do 2 student teaching placements, being a double major, where one of them was in special education, one of them was in general education. And in my gen ed field experience, I was put in a 7th grade science room. And then it was in like a traditional junior high setting. So it was 7th and 8th grade building. I taught 7th grade. So it was 7th grade science. And I had like 6 periods of it a day. So what happened is I would teach a lesson, and then the next group would come in 45 minutes or an hour later or whatever it was, and then I would teach the same lesson. And then, you know, another group would come in, and then I would teach the lesson, and it would be the same thing, rinse and repeat all day.
Yeah, I've always wondered, how does that work as a teacher? Like, how do you stay excited for all day doing the same thing over and over and over again?
Well, I think the way I do that is, the reason I brought it up was because it was the continuous reassessment.
Yeah.
Like I would tell the kids all the time, the lessons get better as we go. And I would always tell my first group, you guys, essentially you have the worst lesson of the day because you plan it out the day before. Right. And you map out how it's going to look, what you're going to do, what the activities are going to be, how much you're going to read, how much you're going to quiz, like all this stuff, what the feedback. But then, you know, it's like a podcast. You go on side tangents or, you know, alternate dialogues with the kids that you don't anticipate, where the lesson takes a turn and you start talking about something different. And then you go 15 minutes off course or whatever, or you fit the lesson in and it goes a lot quicker than expected, or alternatively, it goes a lot longer than expected. Right. So you're kind of going through this like assessment in your mind as you go throughout every single lesson, what to change, what to do, how quickly to move through this PowerPoint, how quickly to move through your textbook reading or whatever. And then eventually when you get to the end, the lesson is almost perfect.
Right.
And so I feel like I kind of do that like daily and stuff. And, you know, that's the nature of training too, is you're constantly getting feedback from athletes. Like, how did that feel? How did this movement look? How did this drill work? And you're constantly changing things. So I think that just by a product of what I do, I kind of go through that assessment all day anyway, but it's especially prominent at the end of the day because it's less chaotic. Like when you're trying to think of how you did and how things went on the fly, there's a lot that plays into it. Whereas the drive home is like silent almost. Right, like, it's like, okay, how did this go? You know, what did I do well today? What did I not do well today? What can I change? And I think that if you do that enough, then I don't want to say you have to do that less, but when you do that frequently enough, there's less that goes wrong day to day because you're constantly fixing things.
Makes sense.
Like if I have an athlete, that's whatever, I know that these types of drills don't really work for this athlete, or conversely, this athlete's really good at this stuff, so we don't have to hit on it as much.
Right.
So I know that this person needs to focus on this particular movement. So then when the athlete comes in again, there's less of that, okay, this didn't work, because I'm starting to understand what works. And the longer you work with a client, the more you understand their needs and their likes and their wants and all this stuff. So the learning period gets a little bit shorter and shorter every time.
Right.
So, but how's things on your end? Switching tangents for a minute.
It's been very good. So this has been the best week, diet and productivity for me since the baby's been born.
Uh-huh.
Everything just seemed to be firing on all cylinders. I haven't, like I said last week, I was going to start lifting this week. I did not get the gym set up on Sunday. It wasn't actually completed till Wednesday, and it's still not completed. All the stuff has moved home. I still have some arranging to do. I didn't realize how much stuff you accumulate with a child, because I cleaned my basement out last year, right before the baby was born.
Uh-huh.
And it was full again. So I had I'm literally almost 2 whole days of getting rid of stuff, moving stuff around, rearranging things to open up some space for a legitimate home gym. And so once I got everything situated, I got everything moved home from the fire station, and it's just a matter of finish setting everything up, because you know how it is when you move stuff, you have to tear it all apart, and there's only so many hours in a day. So
yeah,
it's all. I think it'll be done tomorrow, and I'm probably gonna sneak a workout in tomorrow night because everything's done. Why not?
Well, I was thinking, it's what you said about moving stuff home. Immediately, I had this brain fart, and I couldn't think of where all of your stuff was when you said, "Oh, I'm moving it home," and I thought, what does he mean he's moving it home? I thought it was in his garage. Completely forgot about you taking all your equipment down to the fire station, because I remember you guys trained there, but I forgot that you had taken your stuff there.
So whenever I first took the fitness coordinator position at my fire station, we have a Smith machine and just like the bare minimum amount of weights, and for one person can get a decent workout in with what we had. But at first, you know how it is. It's like a wildfire. When you light a fire, that initial kindling all starts. So all them people were wanting to work out because everybody was.
Mm.
So it was nearly impossible. Like what I had planned for a 45-minute workout was 2 hours because of getting everybody through the same stuff. And so that's why I took my stuff, because I had essentially a mirror image of what we have at the station, but without the Smith machine. So I just have just a bench and squat rack and X amount of weight, in a bar.
It sounds like football, because when I coached football, it was, especially doing the strength programming, it's you have a maximum number of people and a minimum amount of space and an amount of time. Yeah, it was
exactly.
Ton of people, little time, little space.
It's exactly the same.
And it's how on earth am I going to shuffle through this?
It was so fun though. I really wish, and I hope that there's a demand that I have to take my stuff back, to be honest, because it was so fun to see everybody, because we utilized the whole station, the hallways, the garage bays, the weight room, the parking lot. We were utilizing the whole property basically. And it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. But so I brought everything home anyways.
Yep.
I digress. I'm hoping to get my first official workout in again tomorrow night. But did some cardio this week. Typically I would do a 5K this morning, the last month-ish. I've been doing a 5K every Saturday morning just to see how it feels.
Yeah.
And my hip's holding up. I'm not going to do one this morning. I'm going to do it tomorrow morning, actually. We're having a big family cookout at the fire station today, so as soon as we're done here, I gotta go pack up my smoker and get meat on. So that should be fun. But yeah, man, I have been missing the weight room so much. But I needed that. I think I needed that time off because I battled that issue with my pubic bone, about over a month ago. Every time that it would get put back in place by the chiropractor, it was like less than 24 hours and it would be out again.
Yeah.
And it was like almost debilitating. Like I couldn't hardly walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took it upon myself. I thought that was my body telling me I need to take a break. You have to let this heal. Like, and that's the hardest thing. Like, I know we talk about listen to your body, do what your body tells you to do, but that was literally the hardest part for me was not having like you tell me I have to take a break. Because usually it's you or a doctor, the chiropractor, or somebody saying, "Hey, it's time to pull off the throttle for a minute." You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
But like telling myself I had to take a break, was the hardest part.
Because then there's also that part of you that will go back and forth and kind of
battle.
Yeah, debate. Well, should I? When someone else, it's like, it's easy. I don't know. I feel like sometimes in regards to stuff like that, it's easy to trust other people, but it's not easy to trust yourself because you can second guess yourself.
Well, and you can allow yourself to get weak.
Yeah.
And succumb to, well, it's way easier to sit my butt in that recliner and watch TV all day than it is to go get in the truck and drive to the gym and move thousands of pounds of weight cumulatively over the course of an hour and a half. You know what I mean? It's so much easier to kick your feet up and wait for the radio to squawk and go do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so much easier to do that. So if you get that's what I was afraid of, honestly. And I think I've told you that before. Like, if I sit for too long, I'm afraid grass is going to grow. You know what I mean? And I can't let grass grow in a parking lot that I just paved.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it.
Well, there was something in particular that you said there, so that kind of like sparked a side conversation that I think was really good. So let's take a minute. Let's go to a commercial break. And when we come back, I want to touch on that.
As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well.
And we are back from our commercial break. So prior to the break, when you were talking, you mentioned something about how you were missing lifting so much. And it kind of, reminded me of when the whole pandemic hit. Because you think being mid-June, we were going through that at this point last year.
Yeah.
And I almost, truthfully, I've kind of like lost sight of last year because I think about all the things that I did the summer prior. Whereas last year we were kind of restricted in what we could do. It felt like we couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back and I keep referring to 2 summers ago as last summer because it's almost like I've completely blocked that out of my mind. And it was amazing what that did for me in terms of how much I appreciated going to the gym. And I've still been able to hold on to that since then.
Yeah.
So like there were times over the years where lifting or training becomes like a task. And it feels monotonous and you don't want to wake up, or if it's in the evening, you're tired after work. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like that whole pandemic where we were quarantined was like so necessary for me because it kind of reinvigorated my, I don't want to say love because I always loved it, but like my zealousness for going to the gym. And that's continued with me because I told myself after that disaster of a summer, I was like, once I finally get back in the gym, I'm never going to take it for granted. I'm going to make sure that I cherish it. And honestly, a year later, I can still say that I'm doing that because sometimes you get caught up in emotion of things like like New Year's resolutions, like we talk about all the time. Like you get caught up in the emotion of it and you really want to do it. And then that passion kind of deteriorates as things goes on. Or even like in a marriage or a relationship, like you're very passionate. And then when you're around someone long enough, it kind of deteriorates. And I wanted to make sure that my love for the gym or for training or whatever never deteriorated. And I can look and say that a year later, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Like I'm equally as excited to go to the gym now as I felt like I was when we finally started lifting again and being able to go. And I feel like that's an important mindset that you can put yourself in is if there's something, again, I think it goes back to like how we opened just talking about opportunity. Like you can look at the gym of one of two ways, either the opportunity for self-improvement or you can look at it in a negative frame and just say, oh, I have to do this.
Right. And that will set the tone for your whole everything.
Yeah.
The way you perceive anything. And it's not just the gym. Like you said it earlier, to use it for everything.
I'm trying to, yeah.
Yeah, because like if I talk to people all the time that are like, I have to, you know, I recently started cutting grass at the fire station, and I was asking one of the guys that has been normally cutting it, but he got some more stuff on his plate, and you know, other stuff was added to his normal schedule, and I offered to help him out and start cutting the grass. And he's like, I have to go up there and do this or that or the other thing. And I can't remember what he was talking about. But anyways, I was like, in my head, I'm thinking about this conversation because we've had this conversation before. It's if you remove I have to from any situation and replace it with I can or I get to. Even if it's like the worst thing in the world, I have to walk to work. I can walk to work. You know, you talked about it before. There's always somebody has it worse. You know, somebody somewhere woke up this morning or is waking up right now because we're crazy and can't walk to work physically.
Or some people didn't get the opportunity to wake up at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so like that is the whole thing. I don't even know where I was at the beginning of that rant, but like I have to or I can. I get to. Like, and I seriously, like, you know, like, even between me and my wife, this is the difference between me and my wife. Like, she doesn't enjoy getting up in the middle of the night, right? Like, so I have to get up in the middle of the night, or I have to do this. And I'm like, it don't bother me. Like, and I feel like I sometimes irritate her and irritate people because I don't think I've ever, in the last year and a half, very, very little have I said I have to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's nothing that I have to do. It's everything I get to do.
Well, it's like the gym thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, it starts with the gym and then it's transferable to like other areas.
To life, yeah.
Like I think that's why training is so important for people because there's so many carryovers. And I don't want to get cliche or try to make like going to the gym to be more than it is because I think that sometimes people... the analogies that people throw out for the gym are like a little unnecessary. Like people talk about like going to war and stuff. It's like, no, it's just lifting weights. Like it's not that hardcore. Like, yeah, you can be intense with it and have fun with it because if there's any two people that enjoy that, it's us. But at the same time, I think that you can also overthink it. So I don't want to do that. But regardless, I feel like the gym, it's very, very... it's a very good teacher for life lessons.
Yeah.
And I think that one of those is the ability to know that you have opportunities in certain things. Like there's some people, like you said, who physically can't go to the gym or physically can't do things. And like, I wonder how much of that mentality, at least for you and I specifically, how much of our mentality is because of the gym or even because past experiences, because you've been really open and adamant about one of the reasons why you enjoy so many things in life is because there's a time where you couldn't do so many things in life.
Right.
So like how much of that comes from previous experiences and is stuck with you? Like, I don't want to forget what it's like to not do things because of my size. And now I get to do things no matter how tedious they may seem to other people.
Loaded question.
Like there's probably a lot of that. I think
right? Most of it because like, I was in the passenger seat while my trainee was driving yesterday, and I can't remember. Oh, my seatbelt got stuck. You know what I mean? You know how like your seatbelt will suck you to the seat, and you got to kind of fiddle with it to get it loose. And when I fiddled with it and loosened it, I pulled it out, and my arm extended, and it still had like more slack. And I kind of held it there for a second, and he kind of looked over and was like, "What are you doing?" You know, and I pushed it out all the way as far as it would go before it hit its extension. You know, and I held it there, and I said, "You know, this is how I recognize that I've lost weight. It's the only way. Like in my day to day, that's like one of the only things." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Where this seat belt ends was smaller than I was."
Yeah.
And it was an absolutely insane distance from my body to the end of the seatbelt. It was scary.
Because didn't you have to get extenders or looking to get extenders at one point for it?
I had to use bungee cords. You know what I mean? Nobody knew because it was illegal and I wasn't allowed. But the only way I could get it done was use a bungee cord. And to think about that, like the space, I don't even know how I fit in this truck we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man, like I use that for fuel for absolutely everything. Because 2 years ago, any of the stuff we talk about would have been fiction.
So this is where like you want to be able to give people a little bit of some opportunity to think about opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, because it was easy for you or easier or more natural and organic for you to look at things opportunistically because you came from a position in life where you didn't have those opportunities.
Yeah.
Or, you know, us being people that go to the gym, that kind of teaches you that way. Or someone that has grown up in poverty and comes into a financially stable situation, be it by luck or hard work or whatever, they appreciate money a little bit more because they didn't have it. So when I, look at our listenership, I think about there's probably people out there who haven't had, and this is awesome for them, but they've probably never come from a place where they didn't have opportunity.
Yeah.
So how do you teach opportunity or to look at things as opportunity for people that have never had to do that? I think it's difficult.
You're talking about like the people that have, so I talked about this with somebody else like yesterday or the day before. The people that like grew up with money, grew up with nice cars, private school, anything that they ever wanted, they got.
And it's not, I don't want to say thankful, but like, I guess that's really the only term I can use. How do you teach people to be thankful for those things if that's all they've ever known and that's all they've ever had?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I think
because I don't think
example.
I don't even think it like boils down to being a good person or not.
No,
like just because you're a good person or just because you don't look at things as opportunities doesn't mean you're not a good person. It's difficult to do because you don't know any better. That's all you've ever known. I'm sure, again, like with me, that there's things that I complain about that 99% of the world would just be completely offended by. That I would get upset over something so trivial when I have so much in my life to be grateful for.
Right.
So like I've been in that position too. But just like with our listeners, like I try to provide some value to the podcast. Obviously you want things that people can take away or like strategies that people can use. And it's like if there's someone out there that has a difficult time looking at things as opportunities, how do we help them? Like what's some information that we've been given that can help? I know, again, we said repeated exposure, just no matter how difficult it is or ineffective it might seem, just continue to tell yourself, I get to,
Right.
Not I have to. And then the other thing that I think may be helpful is putting yourself in hard situations so then you're cognizant of easy situations. So like do things that are super, super difficult or super, super hard, because then I think you'll be thankful for, it's like, going out and working in the sun all day and then coming into the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Like the air conditioning feels so good because you constantly were exposing yourself to heat.
Yeah. Or agreeing to do a Spartan race at 350 pounds.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Because then you appreciate the little things. So like making things harder allows you to
Yeah.
look at things easier.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, just completely other topic because I said that. I'm like the most nervous and excited person in the world to get to do this.
For me, I was like trying to change my training up a little bit without losing sight of like my roots. Like obviously being bodybuilding specific, I started training a little bit differently by doing things that I wouldn't normally do. Pacing or tempo and rest periods are a little bit quicker just to kind of like gear myself towards that a little bit more. And it's pretty cool and exciting just because like I'm doing something a little bit different.
Right.
Planning for something specific. It helps keep training interesting, I think, on my end.
So that was something that I wanted to touch on a little bit. Like, I was so excited when I knew going into last week you were going to challenge me to do a Spartan race. Like, I just knew it was coming. I don't know how. It was like intuition. And I was like, all right, Charlie, get on with it. Like, you have to say it. Like, I need him to say this. Because, like, I needed that challenge. That something to write on the wall. Something to write on the wall, a date to circle. This is happening. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's a goal. It's a small goal.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? It's like having the vision to see past like your split or my 5K.
Mm-hmm.
What is the next thing? I already have it on the wall.
Yeah.
It's TBD because we don't have a date set exactly in stone yet because we're busy people, but it's on the wall. It's the next thing. There's nothing before it. Everything that happens from now, from July 3rd to whenever we do a Spartan race together is all in preparation for that Spartan race.
Yeah.
And that's the only fitness thing that matters. And now I have a goal.
Yep.
So, and I'm like, I haven't stopped thinking about it. Like, if you look through my YouTube search history, it's stupid. It's all Spartan race, how to train, what to do. And then that goes back to technology. Like, I'm touching on everything we ever talk about.
I think it's just like a way to keep, as I mentioned, training interesting.
Yes.
Because I think that's one of the reasons why I've been appreciative of the opportunity to go to the gym. How we started this, it's coming full circle, is the fact that there's freedom there too.
Yeah.
To like do what I want and change things up. And so like even something as little as like having shorter rest periods so you're a little bit more cardiovascularly taxed. Like for me, that's fun because I'm not good at it. So I try to get good at it. Yeah. And like even within the scope of traditional training for me, one thing that I've been doing lately, like I've always hated back training. Mm-hmm. Like training back is like, I just hate it. I don't know why. I'm
not a big fan either.
And it's like my least favorite body part to do. And lately, yesterday, in fact, I was talking with a kid that I train. He's a college football player. And I asked him what his favorite or his least favorite thing to do was at school, like football specific. So with their strength and conditioning coaches, whether it's like a conditioning test or, cardio that they have to do or conditioning they have to do or a certain lift, because football players, their training is very specific, obviously, especially at an elite collegiate level. And he was telling me things. And then yesterday I asked him, I said, what's your favorite or your least favorite body part to train on your own? Like the body part that you hate doing the most, just lifting in the off season and stuff. And, I talked to him when I turned around to myself. I said, well, my least favorite to train is back, but I tried not to think of it that way.
Right.
Lately, I've been trying to think of it as that's my favorite to train because it's a weakness that I have the opportunity to bring up today. Now, it's easier said than done, but I keep trying to do it because I feel like talking to yourself can be the greatest tool or your worst enemy. Mm-hmm. Like if you tell yourself you're a piece of crap enough, you're going to believe it.
I'm like first-hand knowledge of that.
Likewise, if you tell yourself you're awesome enough, you're going to believe it. If you tell yourself that you have to do something enough, you're going to believe it. If you tell yourself this is an opportunity enough, you're going to believe it. So I keep trying to look at my back training as opportunity to bring up a weak point, going to be better because of it. Just buy into it and you'll be good.
Yeah, I like it. I really do. That sounds like a lot of the things that I've been thinking about too is like, because I was worried about the Spartan thing. There's a lot of climbing.
Yep.
And no matter how much stronger and in better shape I am right now than I ever was, I still can't do a pull-up. So what makes me think I'm going to be able to climb a rope?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what I mean? Like, in my head, like, I think, like, the rope ladder stuff and climbing over a wall, if there's something to, like, jump off of to it or, like, jump up to, I can handle that, or at least the best attempt in the world. But I have a feeling that as of right now, ropes, I'm going to be doing burpees. Because, like, I don't have the upper body strength yet. But,
Yeah.
like, that's a goal. That is something to move towards. So it looks like back is something that I don't like to do. I get to do that now.
Yeah.
Like, I get to improve my back because I really want to be able to at least make a good attempt at doing the pool stuff, the rope, and anything else that is really back related in the race. I want to be able to do it. Like you said, when you stepped on stage for the very first time, you just want to be in that space and belong there.
Yeah.
Like somebody said, well, what do you need to do a Spartan race? Well, I said, technically I could go and sign up to the next one and go do it and run the whole thing like a 5K and just do a bunch of burpees.
Yeah. You don't really have to do anything.
Right. I don't have to, but I also don't want to be the, you know, for lack of better words, the fat guy that doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to have some respect for myself enough to belong in the space that I'm trying to fit into.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, like, hence the training is changing. Like, everything I'm going to do is going to be not catered to Spartans. It's going to be catered to bettering my life, but via
just
Spartan.
The performance of it. Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's a good place to end it, man. Hopefully people, you know, can take away from the episode the understanding of, I don't want to say positive thinking because I think that's too broad, but trying to look at obstacles as opportunities or things that you don't want to do. Just, I know it's difficult and I know it seems futile, but if you do it enough, I honestly can speak from experience that you're going to have a little bit more of a better mindset going forward into things if you continue to look at your day-to-day as I get to, not I have to.
Right. I agree. It's that, you know, like you said, I get to, I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to not say I have to do anything ever again.
And I will do the same.
Fair enough.
And we'll challenge our listeners to also do
yes.
that. All right. So with that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. This has been episode 83, I think.
83.
Correct? 83. Yep. Wow. This has
can't
been
believe
episode 83. So we look forward to hearing back from you guys next week. And please, if you have any questions or want to reach out to either of us, please do so via social media. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, I'm pushed to the edge and take it all. I'm born to be untamable, go right to the edge and never fall.